doing my machine applique, I use my thread in a bobbin, and for machine applique, I use invisible thread on the top. But because I use a wonderful Aurifil thread in a bobbin, the stitching for machine applique just come out wonderful. It almost mimics a hand applique. When I do hand applique many times, because I don't want to admit it, but my eyesight is getting bad. So the silk thread went to the side and I moved on to Aurifil thread, and the gentle stitches are wonderful to slip in and do a hand stitching and hand applique. When I do decorative stitches, that is where I showcase my thread, and please, when the presentation is done, come closer and truly enjoy how wonderful it is to put a button stitch around all your pieces. And you would think, 12 colors, how can I do this? This and this would be in your bobbin, the first one and the last one. Everything right here, the greens go beautiful over the greens. Blues are stunning. This particular one, the dark, I call it smoky, dark smoky, it is perfect for any browns, olive greens, blacks. On my black branches, I have that. It is just stunning on it. So that one will go over this. And right here, all of the reds are perfect to complement any flowers. Always recommend a little bit of a yellow. That's what it gives a nice glow to the quilt for a color. So I did the applique right here in this quilt, as well as this small wall hanging. And this is perfect for a class if you're teaching somebody a class and you wanted them to introduce them for the first time to the threads. Have them try it on that for a button stitch. So that one would be this perfect for a nice little class for applique. For a quilt like this, where you have multiple colors, and I have my, this is my new collection, when you would take this box of threads next to it, and I'm going to lift this quilt just so you see it closer. Notice what happened with the colors that I chose for you. They basically melt to anything that I'm going to work with it. If I'm sewing or if I would like to stitch over or applique, just wonderful, a group of colors. Once we have, and for my raw edge applique, and right now, I need to find my bird quilt. And I don't know if you know it, I have an older brother, and when I was little, he was the king of the household. Till I got my hands on his little bear. And I made this quilt. And that's my brother's little bear. And I use my Aurifil threads for machine quilting over my small project. So the stitching right here is with Aurifil threads, just dot stitch, and those are wonderful. I would not recommend for big quilts, because with the use and pulling and pushing, the threads would not hold it. But for the smaller quilts are wonderful. So for a fusible applique, when you're stitching over something, just for a raw edge applique, wonderful to do it. So we cover our appliques. Now, let's talk about paper foundation or paper piece. I have a thread that will work with any color, and I love this one, and that's the 2370. I use this quite often, a little bit lighter, and a light one. There is another one that is perfect for that technique. And not to rush you, if you ever decide to have a triangle exchange or fabric exchange in your store, or do a class, for any of my triangle classes that I have done, fabric exchange classes, ladies come in for the day to sew. At that moment, I say to them, okay, because we're swapping pieces of fabric, we're going to swap some triangles. I want all of you to make sure that you are sharing the best of the best with each other. So each of you, I would love you to use Aurifil thread. And again, I said you can borrow mine for the day, or you can get your own spool. And I tell you, anybody that borrows that thread buys that spool anyway. It is wonderful to do it because they get to try it, and they're sewing on the paper, and I have it in my book, as well as I recommend it when I'm at the class. So for exchange, to keep it uniform, to make sure that everybody gets a nice quality finished project, it is wonderful to do it. When I do English piecing and I sew by hand, I would not do it without my Aurifil thread. And this was one of the first things that I started sewing with Aurifil, just using it to sew by hand. I absolutely love that when I'm sewing, nothing is twisting and turning. And this is the lasting project, has been ongoing, has been to every place that I have took a class the last 5 years. be done soon. Thank you, my friend. And notice it, one color again, and you can change it if you would like to, but it goes great. The stitching are just melt into the seam. You can check my work if you would like to. Don't bring your glasses with you when you do it. But I use it quite often in hand piecing in my English piecing. As I showed you for quilting, it is perfect for small projects. On my large applique and a smaller project, I put it on my small machine and I quilted it really nicely with the Aurifil thread. Weight 40, it's better than weight 50. I like and it's a personal preference. We cannot be all, so it's your personal preference. I like when I see quilting, I just like the shadow of quilting. But if you want to see the thread, bring the weight of the thread to a higher 40 would be wonderful. But also, now, I want to take you other places with your Aurifil thread. Recently, I have been making a dress for my daughter for her prom. And I tell you, there is not a better thread for domestic sewing, any apron, any outfit than Aurifil. I had the best, and I've made many wedding gowns before I was a quilter. So I got back to it with my daughter, and this is a dress that I made it for her. Isn't she a star? Yeah. I found it with this little Aurifil thread. Our relation, mother, and a daughter was saved. I finally was able to please her. But so when the young people come up to the store, and they're asked because they're making something, and they want to make probably for themselves, please encourage them and start them up on a good quality thread. Their outfits would be gorgeous. When I finished the seams and stitched it, and any top stitch, that thread just melted right into that seam, and the dress came out to be wonderful. And if you don't think so, don't tell me. That's my movie stuff. And now I wanted to share with you, and thank you for coming to my presentation.